not to do. He's saying the one person will do wrong, and then Peter who told God that he loved him. Then he got confused and he knew when it happened. He didn't want them to say it. Now they're her saying, okay, her saying, do everything you do, and you can't change who you are. And then Gabriel said, you be Savior, and Peter will do everything he wants to, and John don't know what he's doing. And then John got issues about Jacob. And God would have been John. And John don't know what he's doing. And then he knew when it happened. He didn't want to talk about it. Then James would get a stone. And he got a rock. And the big mustard. And he got to walk it on his head, on James. And then he got that hard, very bad. And he didn't know that. He couldn't do it on a stone.
Really?
Then, now you said about Jacob, Peter, and John, and Joshua. That's the Old Testament, right? And,
some of it.
Then, this chapter 1, Joshua, he tried to tell John, he tried to told him to calm down. He did calm down. He tried to tell anybody about this in the Old Testament. And then Joshua, he knew because he was born that way, and he didn't know what he's doing, and then he got confused. Then he know because he's a soldier, right? He's a soldier. That's my mom and my dad talked about put a book about Joshua. That was like my name, Joshua. And then I born in 1990. I born, and then named me my name. Then I got born. I remember I was a kid. Then I remember my mom and her in the hospital. I'm a baby.
You remembered that?
Yeah, I remember that. And my daddy got a mustache then.
We'll see how your dad fits in the grain offering, okay? Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Very good. Good job.
Good sermon.
That eat too, Josh.
Yes.
You need to add salt. Because every grain offering
Salt.
has salt.
Thank you. I wonder if somebody's going to catch that. Okay. Yep. Unleavened. So yeast is not there. And no honey. Man. This God is so mean, we can't put honey on our bread. Jeez. It'll burn eventually, right? Okay. So did we figure out what the memorial was? What are we remembering? Or do we need to think about that a while? Because I don't know.
Donnie, do you know what the word for grain is? It's mean kind of, right?
Yeah,
What's that mean?
grain,
Oh.
beans, grain.
There you go.
There we go.
Comes from
From
wheat.
wheat. Okay.
It just says in
And I like to throw in, it says, crush, doesn't it? Like, it says fine flour.
Fine flour in
Think
some
about that,
translations.
and you have to crush it.
Yeah.
So it's just like when it says in, I believe it's Psalms or Isaiah, where it says that he looks upon those who come to him in a broken and contrite spirit, a humble spirit. Well, you got to be crushed. That word for humble and broken is crushed.
Excellent. Which goes to the honor and the humility and all that as well. You can't come all full of yourself because you're nothing. Yes, Ed.
You're looking for the purpose of a memorial, the reason?
What is it a memorial
The
of?
6th grade logic is that memory to remember. Okay, every day I remember and wait to like Dr. Pepper and Juicy Fruit. And God just remembers, He wants to see us. He wants to remember us. come around, come see me, come to the tent.
Yeah, I'm here. Here every night. Be here all week. Jim and then Ty.
Do you think, in memorial, but do you think it has, especially as it's a grain offering, does it have anything to do with, in a sense, maybe giving thanks for what he's provided?
I would like to think so. You know, remembering that he's God and we're not. He's smarter than we are. And here are the steps. Remember, we had to do a burnt offering first. Remember that I'm here.
On that note, it's also part that's left over. And that which is left of the meat offering shall be Aaron and his sons, the remnant. It says that it is a thing most holy of the offering of the Lord made by fire. So the fact that our grain offering, or the grain offering that was made, was also for the Levites. It was for their provision, since they didn't have an inheritance.
Because the burnt offering, nothing's left. It's all gone. Everything's burned up. So yeah, this is the beginning of...
Except in verse 12, where it talks about, as an offering of first fruits, you shall bring them to the Lord, but they shall not ascend for soothing aroma on the altar. And you can- and
It's
you
just
can
two
bring
different
them into
things.
the grain offering.
We're in the grain offering.
But in verse 12, in chapter 2,
Is the grain offering.
is the first fruit.
But
No,
it's also, we're talking about...
bringing, if you're bringing the first fruits of your grain as a grain offering.
Yeah, here, let's just read it, 11 and 12 really quick, of chapter 2. It says, no grain offering which you bring to Yahweh shall be made with leaven, for you shall burn no leaven or honey in any offering of Yahweh made by fire. As for the offering of first fruits, you shall offer leaven to the Lord, but they shall not be burned on the altar for a sweet aroma. So basically it's saying, you know, if you're a beekeeper and you've got honey as a first fruits offering, don't bring it and burn it on the altar, but bring it as a first fruits and give it to the priests, because they get the first fruits.
I don't know, I just thought it was odd, you know, that one little verse got put in there like that.
It threw me for a loop too. It's like, wait a minute. This is grain offering for aroma, but it says don't make it an aroma. Yeah. All right.
In the first fruits of the grain before we are allowed to eat it?
I believe so.
Because there's certain vegetables and, fruits in particular, that you're not allowed to eat the first 2, 3, 4 years. And then...
The first 2 years, you just leave them. In the third year, you present them to God, yes.
Okay, and I think maybe the grapes are the same way, aren't they?
Don't know.
I was thinking that.
I don't know. All right. Fellowship offering. Who? Someone. Who else?
Male or female?
Yep. So the what is male or female?
The lamb?
Has to be a male.
Who also could be any person that's clean once you give it.
Based on what verse, so we can all look at it?
You know, later on when it starts talking about it, it's something you're supposed to eat, so let me try to find a reference here, because it's the only place it's talking about peace offerings.
What do you think? I didn't hear what you said. Gabe.
Oh, yeah, on people, you know, the other people that will be coming with you to eat it, the peace offering. So, if you wanted to give a fellowship peace offering, let's say Phil wanted to, he brought a lamb, and he would bring it to the tent of meeting, they'd do it, they'd offer up the fat, and he would say, okay, well, my whole family is here to rejoice before the Lord, and so they would actually eat this offering. It's not something that just the priest eats, but the priest gets the thigh.
Hey,
Let
Phil,
me find where that's.
just to be consistent, if you would, the grain is mincha. And now we're in shalom.
That bread offering, they they make, where they put the bread on the, bread table, that is, has, yeast in it.
It does.
And that's where, the priests ate most of their bread out of that. After staying 7 days, which is supposed to stay fresh for 7 days. And, then they were, required to eat it.
I'm sorry, what does that say under what, for the fellowship offering?
Shalem?
No, under what?
It's
Oh,
male and female.
male or female, sorry.
I know.
So it's back to flock, one of the flock.
Yep.
Whereas on the burnt offering, it had to be male.
That is correct, I believe. Let me double check. Write that down up there.
Correct.
Yeah, male without defect. We seem like we need to change topics and do something else. Everybody's faded, I think. Go ahead.
This is also where we get the, we're not supposed to eat blood or fat
Of the offering.
of the offering. I mean, it lays it out for a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that you eat neither fat nor blood.
In 17.
Right, 17.
What other place?
Forever.
And that goes back to Noah when he tells him not to eat blood.
Which is
Right.
Genesis 9:4.
Right. Exactly. Okay, we got a couple empty blanks here. Fellowship offering, where? Tent meeting.
Or the tent.
I want to see a pattern
Look on the altar.
I'm sorry?
On the altar.
on the altar.
It says on top of the burnt offering.
Aha.
Is that just the NIV or is that?
No, mine just says on the altar of burnt offering. But
Yeah, mine just says.
Where, what verse?
Verse 5.
Burn it on the
No,
altar.
it says.
King James says on the altar.
It says, and Aaron's sons shall burn it on the altar upon the burnt
Burnt
sacrifice.
sacrifice on the olah, and it says olah. So that means that that's a precursor to that, to the shalem.
that's interesting.
Which is upon the blood that is on fire, that is not fire.
Oh, yeah, and then you see all through scripture, they're always offering burnt offerings and peace offerings together. Like, even before this burnt offering, that's what they offered to the golden calf, even was burnt offerings and peace offerings.
Oh, no, there's an offering we didn't mention.
What's that?
There's an offering we didn't mention,
Which one?
the golden calf.
Well, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago or something, right? Okay. Why?
Verse 16,
Which says, read aloud and proud for us.
because I like it.
That's right.
I like sunrises, I like sunsets, and I like the smell of the offering.
That's right.
What verse was it that said it was supposed to be on top of the Olah?
Five.
Verse 5.
Chapter 3, verse 5.
Thanks.
That's the King James version.
It's also the NASB.
And the NIV,
So I imagine all of them.
probably.
That's
Some similar picture anyway. A pleasing aroma to God for the generations. All right. Maybe we should just end for the day right here and not even talk about chapter 4, right?
Well, this is where we get into sin.
It is now
Okay, Fred.
we're on the sin offering. So what are the specifics of the sin offering? There are a bunch.
Depends on which sin and whose sin.
That's right. So who is various people,
First
right?
one is the priest.
First one is the priest. The who priest?
The anointed.
Yep.
that's making atonement for the regular priest.
If the anointed priest sins, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right about that.
Yeah. So we're gonna have several different things, and let's see here. What does the anointed priest bring? Young bull, without blemish. Is there any other options for him? No. He must bring a young bull, period. Attend to meeting and keep reading, because now, what happens with the blood from this bull?
And dips his finger in it,
Mhm.
and sprinkles it on the,
On the front of the curtain in the sanctuary.
oh yeah, on the belt.
Mhm. And then he puts some of the blood on the horns of the incense altar. So now, we've gotten inside,
And then he poured out the rest of it
outside.
on the bottom of the altar.
So he takes some blood inside, pours blood outside, sprinkles some inside.
He burns some of it on the altar, and he burns the rest of it out of the camp,
Yeah,
but at a clean place.
put it at a clean place. So, kind of something Jay was talking about earlier, this one's going to be a little more involved process, and this is just the first one. If the anointed priest sins, he's got to go through some steps. So would this be a deterrent to sin? I would sure hope so, because I doubt this is fun work. I mean, look at all the detail of how to take this off and get the fat and get this and the liver and the covering and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not just throw it all up on there and burn it, you know. A lot more to it. Okay.
This is the only one that says, it says, when the anointed priest sins, he brings guilt upon the people. None of the others bring guilt upon the rest of the people.
True.
So when he sinned,
It's pretty bad.
bad.
So,
Well, because he's the one that directed the people. So if he's sinning and walking in sin, he is actually leading and directing the people in sin.
Right.
So that's why he has to be right. Otherwise,
Yep.
that's why it's really big.
Right.
yeah, because if he sins, doesn't matter how good everybody else is, they're guilty. Period. That's why Jim doesn't like to teach, right? That's why I just facilitate. Yes, Ty.
The second one is the whole congregation.
But are we done with this first one? And there's so much to it.
Well, I mean,
That's why Yeshua had to stay perfect.
Exactly. Do you guys hear that? One more time.
That's why Yeshua had to stay perfect. Because if he was guilty, we're all guilty.
Bingo. We have no hope.
And no hope.
Yeah. Big time.
I
Jimbo.
think it's it's the first representation, and why we have a distinction between those two sets. It's that distinction that sin separates you from the Father. It's that price, or that defining element. You're separated from the Father. You're taken outside of the camp. That portion is taken outside of the camp. And everything else, the first three, well, everything's for the temple, or the tabernacle. You know, it's either something for the priests, or it gets burnt up, or it's, just a sweet, everything's for that place, that environment. Here, there's something that has to be separated and taken outside.
Yep, exactly. Because if you reading this, in verse 4, the anointed priest, he sinned, he's brought guilt on the people, he brings the young bull, presents it at the entrance, lays his hand on its head, and slaughters it. That identification, and the bull is being identified with his sin, so like you're saying, Jim, we got to get that out.
Right.
Because the rest of it, like I said, they're not taken out, because it's not sin, it's fellowship, burnt offering, grain offering, it's different stuff. So. All right, so the second one,
Well, the Y is for forgiveness.
thank you. Atonement. Forgive.
there you go. It's easier to spell. Come on, Bill.
But yes, we're going to be high and mighty intellectuals, so let's say atonement.
Okay.
Okay, whole community sins unintentionally, which, how could the whole entire community sin unintentionally?
Golden,
Joshua 9,
Which says,
that's when they made a treaty with the Gibeonites without realizing that they lived within the land.
They were snippered.
excellent, how else could the whole community sin unintentionally?
Celebrating Christmas.
Yes.
How else could the whole community sin unintentionally? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, look at the first
Well,
one.
yeah, if the priest is sinning,
They don't know.
They don't
Well,
know.
that's, yeah, that, but I think that really, without the humor, really does, I think, speak to what Gabriel mentioned, in the sense that that's why it's important you have all these congregations that we're surrounded by. And yeah, in a sense, these people are sinning. They're not keeping the Sabbath. We know that. If nothing else, they're not keeping the Sabbath. But it's a sin that they've been taught, that
Exactly.
they've been taught wrongly. So it's really an unintentional sin, because I think many of them, and I think
Many of us.
we're proof that when the truth has been given to them, you change. You know,
In a lot
and
of
you
ways.
sin no more, if you will.
All right.
Because they're priests.
Right.
To run through this quickly, because it's about time to wrap up. The whole community sins, what do we have to have brought here? What's the what? Young bull, Sounds familiar. And what happens with that?
the elders
Where?
of the community lay their hands on the sick.
The leaders of the community, the elders. Then what? Where?
Same thing as before.
Same thing as before. And why? Same reason as before, forgiveness. All right, when a leader, individual leader sins unintentionally, what do we have brought?
A male goat.
Are we talking about like the ruler?
When a leader,
He can read a kid of the goats.
yeah, exactly, verse 22, that section.
23 says he can bring the kid of goats.
A male without one.
And what's the where in this, a male goat? What is the where is this?
This is at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered.
So this is at the entrance to the tent of meeting. What else?
The only thing different with this one is he doesn't sprinkle the tent, but he does sprinkle the horns of the altar.
The horns of which altar?
Burnt offering.
Burnt offerings. This one doesn't go inside.
No.
This one stays outside only. And then when a member of the community, the last one here in this chapter, a she-goat, your common everyday pew warmer, chair warmer, stone warmer, dirt warmer, depending on where you're sitting, a she-goat or a she-lamb. And where? One more time, loud and proud. Where? Same thing. Thank you, Jim. Put it in shorthand. The tongue.
Well, I keep seeing.
A pattern, except for these two. If the whole community sins unintentionally, or the priest sins, which makes them all guilty, then we got to go inside to the holy place and make atonement. Okay. Yes.
As far as sacrifices or sin offering or anything, that it's actually a female? I don't remember it ever being, is that what you just said?
Some it doesn't matter.
Somebody can be male or female.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the red heifer is also a female.
Because it's a heifer.
Yeah, it's an effort.
I knew that, I learned that when I started my job. It was one of the first things I learned. I had to ask, but, you know, I learned.
You learn stuff.
I didn't ask twice, no. What's the difference between effort and knowledge?
It's important though that
Cal hasn't had,
the blood is always poured out at the bottom of the altar. In every single one of these.
That's right. You guys catch that? Every single one of these, every single one, the blood is poured out at the base of the burnt offering altar outside the tent of meeting.
What's interesting is in Revelation, we see the bottom of the altar, but there's something different from the blood. What does it say? It's those who've been martyred.
That's true.
Because they're, again, these animals are being martyred.
yeah.
That's the
They're being offered up.
They're being offered up, they didn't sin, we did.
All right, we have one more thing in chapter 5, is a guilt offering, which is interesting.
Yeah, we don't need much room for that, does there?
No, not at all.
Hey, Phil,
Which is good, we don't have much room.
while you're finishing that up, sin, the
Yes.
sin, hata, C-H-A-T-T-A-H.
And the guilt is a shop, A-S-H-A,
One more time on the spelling, Dottie.
A-S-H-A-M.
A-M as in Michael?
Yes.
Thank you.
Like shame.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I don't think there's a coincidence.
All right, guilt offering. Who?
Feel guilt or shame.
Anyone?
Anybody.
Back to the old person.
Yeah, you can compare Leviticus 5:1 with Matthew 26:63.
Why do we want to compare that?
Because that's when Yeshua became sin for us.
All right, so what is being brought?
Ram.
A ram. What else?
Or a lamb. Or goats.
A kid,
Where are we getting lambs and turtle doves in this one?
6,
7.
well, okay.
I'm starting down in verse 14 for a guilt offering.
Yeah,
I think what
it starts in
happens,
6, and he shall bring a trespass offering and a sham unto the Lord for his sin, which he hath sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb, a kid of the goats. Okay, now, here we go,
As
be
a-
careful, for a sin offering.
Thank you.
There's a sin offering first, obviously then, because it's talking,
Well, then, we'll keep reading verse 7. Sin
make
offering,
atonement.
burnt offering. Verse 8,
for
sin
him
offering.
concerning his hatah. Just so you know, that first trespass offering, that is a sham, and then that last one concerning his sin is hatah, and that, and sin for a sin offering is hatah. So that's that sin offering. But they preface the beginning of 6, and he shall bring his trespass offering, his asham, unto the Lord for his sin.
Interesting, because it,
Yeah,
NIV has
because
sin
they also
offering.
bring in, they also talk about olah in there too, in 7. At the very end, it's in the other before a burnt offering, olah. See, a lot of these get really complicated. There's stages, you're bringing in olah first, then you have to bring,
right, and
Yeah.
this here, it's very strange, okay?
Yeah.
Because if he brings, if a man is too guilty, or is too poor to bring a
right,
lamb, then he shall bring his trespass offering to the Lord. For a sin offering he's committed, a female of the flock, a lamb of the kid of the goats, is a sin offering. So the priest shall make atonement. I'm sorry.
Speak up really loud.
Okay, 5:7. If he is not able to bring a lamb, then he shall bring to Yahweh for his trespass which he has committed 2 turtle doves and 2 young pigeons. One is a sin offering, the other